Alright, so let's get those planets actually rotating. So how we're going to do this is we want them to rotate around the sun, like that. So we're going to have two objects. We're actually going to parent this planet here. So each individual planet is going to have a parent planet. It's actually just going to be a game object that's going to go right there at dead center. So what we're going to do is we're just going to rotate this game object. And since that planet is parented to it, it's going to rotate in a perfect circle. So it saves a little bit of math. Okay, so let's first add in that variable. I'm just going to call this planet orbit point. Okay. So now we're going to actually add in an empty game object. So this will be the orbital point, and we'll just call it that. And you want to make sure it's centered at 0, 0, 0. Okay. So that we can drag into the prefabs. And then we can delete it here. Okay. So now let's add that prefab here. So orbit prefab. Let's call it orbit point prefab, so we know exactly what that is. Okay. So how we're going to do this is we're going to instantiate one of those each time, and then we're going to parent the planet to it. So let's do it for Earth first. So it's orbit point, so the game object is going to equal just that orbit point, the prefab. Okay, so that should spawn right at 0. And now we want to actually parent it. So let's just go under here. So we'll say, so the planet object, so its parent is going to equal going to equal that orbit point. How does that work? Yeah, dot transform. Okay, so we're going to add in the orbit points. We're going to instantiate Earth. Then we are going to parent Earth, its object, to that orbit point object. So that way we just have to rotate that orbit point, and Earth should move along with it. So let's do the same thing down here. Okay, so add planet. So just adding in that orbit point. And then we want to parent it. Whoops, planet object. And we want an individual one for each because they're all going to be rotating at different speeds. Okay, so those should both have orbit points now. So the next step will be to actually rotate them. So let's hop right into that function. So we'll minimize that. Let's call this orbit planets. Okay, so now we have a neat little list here full of planet objects and orbit points. So this will be really quick. Just have to go through each one. Okay, so we're going to get the planet. So the PL is the actual each planet as we iterate through. Okay, so we're going to get its orbit point. And we're going to rotate that. So we want to rotate it on the z-axis, so no x, and then the speed we're going to rotate it is also stored. So each one of those is going to have a random speed that we've already assigned, so we can just grab that. So that's the orbit speed. And then 0 on the, whoops, so that's x, y, and then, yeah. So we want all the speed on the z. Okay. And I think that'll about do it. Let's multiply that by time delta time, just so it isn't going off the frame rate and it works a lot better. Okay, so that'll normalize it a bit. Let's put that in the update function, which we also have to add. Okay, so we're going to do orbit planets, just like that. Okay, let's just double check the code here. So we're going to spawn all our planets. You know what, for our sun, let's not add that to the list. Because if we add our sun, it's going to want to orbit speed, and it's not going to have one. So we can remove that, and we can remove that. So we are just going to instantiate the sun prefab. Okay, so Earth, we do want all those variables. Yeah, so it's going to start at 3. It all seems good. Start the spacing at 3. Gonna add everything in. And then we're gonna run our function. Okay, so let's save that. We'll go in here. Just gotta remember to hook up that orbit point prefab. And make sure that that is at 0. Yeah. Okay. I think that's the orbit speed. And we want to crank that up, because now that we times it by time delta time, it's going to go a lot slower. So let's make it 10. And actually, let's do 1 in 50. So it's going to be really, really random. Okay, let's try that. Oh, there we go. So some of them are going slow, some of them are going fast. And that all seems to be working. Let's just try it again. They should all get different speeds this time. Yeah, that kind of works.